Well, hello and howdy ho everyone, Foxy Games here and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV full story playthrough. In the previous episode, we went headlong into the Eden raids and we will continue to do so soon, but for today we are going back to the main story quest. And it seems we have to speak to our two favorite potatoes, Tataru and Kryl. So let's go ahead and speak with Tataru first. Foxy, might I ask a favor of you? I'm not normally one to pry, but F'lhaminn has been oddly distracted ever since you came back to tell us of your travels in the first. Would you go and see if she's alright? I suppose I could see if F'lhaminn is okay. Does anybody else have anything to say? Anything that we haven't read yet? No. Well, why not? We'll check on F'lhaminn. This better not be pointless. Oh, she actually has a quest for us. One final journey. Oh, Foxy. Forgive me, I did not see you there. Ever since you spoke to me of your last moments with Minfilia, I find myself often thinking of the moments I shared with her. And it was during one such moment of remembrance that a missive arrived from an acquaintance in Ulda. Even now I could scarcely believe the letter's contents, written as if in answer to my heart's lamentations. Such fortuitous timing is nothing short of a miracle, no less than your arrival here this day, I should think. I am about to depart for the Sultanate to meet with my acquaintance, you see, and I cannot think of a better companion for this journey than you. Will you not indulge me with your company? I would not begrudge your absence, but if you are so inclined, it would mean more to me than you know. How could I refuse? Or is this something to do with Minfilia? Indeed it is. If what is written in the missive is true, I may yet have a chance to offer her a proper and final farewell. We are to meet on the steps of Thal in front of Eshtame's aesthetics. Pray go ahead, I'll be along shortly. This is not part of the main story quest, but hell, I was given a story thread to follow, and I'd be an awful terrible narrator and storyteller or story shower if I didn't follow it. I hope I have not kept you waiting over long. F'lhaminn! Thanks for coming on such short notice. I don't know what kind of voice to give them. Oh, they're potatoes. Foxy, what a coincidence. What brings you here? Oh, these are the ones I helped out with, oh, what the hell was that place called? The temple. Karn, I think? Ah, you're acquainted. Then I needn't worry about introductions. Foxy was with Minfilia in her final moments, you see, and I thought it only right she be present. So is it true, my friends? Did you find it? To start from the beginning, the concern was contracted to work on the waterways below Ulda. Naturally, this included the reconstruction of the Sildi aqueducts. The place Minfilia and the others fled after the ill-fated banquet. Aye, and while we were clearing out the tunnel, a glint amidst the debris caught our attention. Cat's eye. At first we wondered how it got to be there of all places, but then we remembered the stone Minfilia gave you all those years ago. I didn't know they had any connections to them. These two random potatoes. There's no mistake about it. This is the self-same stone. The very first stone she ever unearthed in those halcyon days when she was still called Asilia. She was beaming with pride when she presented it to me. It was a gift I would treasure for years to come. Until the day came when she needed it more than I. She seemed so lost that day in the waking sands. I knew that the cat's eye would remind her of how far she had already come, and instill her with a little more courage to take the next step. To think she wore it all this time. When we searched the waterways shortly after the collapse, we didn't find a trace of the Scions. No belongings or anything. Curious that it would appear after all this time. With the stone in hand, Minfilia pressed onward in her quest for true peace. Never once did she look back. And though she is gone, her legacy lives on. In you, Foxy, and the Scions, and in the child, Reen. Safe in the knowledge that others continue to walk her path, she has sent this stone back to me. This I choose to believe. She has earned her rest. I shall bury this stone that she might have peace in the hereafter. Where are you thinking? Next to where her father rests. Indeed, there's no better place than with your loved ones. Well, you're doubtless keen to see to that, so we won't keep you any longer. We'll find a moment to go and pay our respects ourselves afterwards. Till next time, take care. Thank you, both of you. Warburton was interred here in Ulda at Herelig's burial chamber, but around the time of the Scion's founding, he was moved to the Church of Saint Adama Lindama, under the care of Father Iliad. Come, Foxy. Let us seek out the Father and request his permission to bury the stone. I really like this music. I've heard it a few times. Wow, you know, I never knew this quest existed. It just goes to show that talking to random NPCs... what am I doing? Talking to random NPCs is a good idea. Tataru's not exactly random, but she wasn't main story quest relevant to that time. Been a while since we've been back here. A long while. Remember? The first time we walked through these doors, we were helping bury people. Then we came and buried our own. After the Scions were all but wiped out. How far we have come, friends. Ah, there you are. I was just telling Father Iliad about Minfilia and the cat's eye. Welcome, my child, welcome. F'lhaminn has explained to me the purpose of your visit, and I see no reason to refuse you. Minfilia would wish to rest with her father. I have known her since she was but a child, full of hope and wonder, an aspiring young miner following in F'lhaminn's footsteps. A dutiful student, to be sure. Nary a day passed that she did not set out into the wilderness with a pickaxe in hand. But fate would see her set aside the miner's tools and instead don a mantle of far greater responsibility. She was as passionate then as she was in her childhood, a fire in her eyes that refused to be extinguished. It was that flame that compelled me to lend the Scions my support without a moment's hesitation. To now see so many brave and noble souls continue her work, it only reaffirms that I was right to place my faith in her. Ah, forgive my meandering musings. You've not come to hear me wax nostalgic. Pray see to burying the cat's eye. The 12's blessing be upon you. Thank you, Father Iliad. Come, Foxy. Warburton's grave is just south of the church. Here it is, Foxy. It was 20 years ago that Warburton came to Ulda, risking life and limb to warn us of the threat encroaching on Eorzea. 20 years ago that my ambition robbed him of his life, a daughter of her whole family. You'd have been so proud of her. She was a warm, compassionate, and vibrant woman, always ready to answer the clarion call of duty without a moment's hesitation, just like her father. In the end, that selflessness would save not one but 2 worlds. Now her duty has ended, and though you are worlds apart, I pray with this stone, this precious gem from Acilia, a part of her remains at your side. Just as she remains forever in my heart. Oh, Acilia, never did I imagine such greatness could be born from a beginning so humble. I am proud to have been there for that first little triumph. Not only did you find a gemstone, you found your own path. That path took you far away to a place fraught with danger, but you have achieved all that you ever desired, and you have returned. Rest now, Acilia, my dearest daughter. Won't you say a few words too? Leave the rest to us. There's much I've left unsaid to Acilia, but I feel as though a weight has been lifted. With a lighter heart, I shall return to Mordona and resume doing my little part for the Scions, for her legacy. Wherever you may be headed, please take care, and when you meet them, do pass my regards to Thancred and Reen and all the others. Thank you, Foxy, for everything. That was a touching little quest. Again, goes to show how important it is to talk to everyone. Alright. Now we're back. Does Tataru have anything different to say? Oh, in caring for the Scions, we've made more than a few new allies. I'm sure they'll be of use to us in the future once everyone is back safe and sound. Hey, her dialogue did change. That's pretty cool. And you could just as easily miss that entire thing. Foxy, my what a pleasant surprise. If you've come to inquire after the Archons, fear not. Master Matoya's treatment has proven effective in stabilizing their corporeal ether. We mustn't grow complacent, however. Potent though these magics may be, they are not without limits. We can only hope they afford us enough time for the Crystal Exarch to complete his work. If only we could go with you to the first and help. Pardon the interruption, but I come bearing urgent news. Foxy, it has been far too long, my friend. Sup, Maxima? Forgive me, I don't believe we've been formally introduced. Maxima, former Garlean ambassador, I remain here in Eorzea under the auspices of Commander Aldin, offering what counsel I can in the hopes of resolving the present conflict with the Empire. Ah yes, I have heard stories of a defector from Garlemald, but never mind that, you said you have urgent news. Indeed. As you may have heard, the Imperial capital is in turmoil, and a sizable portion of the Garlean forces have been recalled from the Gimlet Dark. With their numbers so greatly diminished, the main host of the Alliance has withdrawn, leaving the Alamegan resistance to keep watch over the border. And it is there we have welcomed a most unexpected visitor who claims that this de-escalation may belie growing dangers and unforeseen threats. Well, that's no surprise. Commander Aldin has arranged for an impromptu meeting to discuss these revelations. He's also requested a representative of the Scions attend as well, though it was clear to whom he wished I extend this invitation. It would seem time is of the essence. Well, you'll not be attending the meeting alone. Though I am not as well versed in the affairs of city-states as our comrades, I see no reason to burden a single Scion with all this. Yes, of course, then we must make for the Alamegan quarter with all haste. Well, what are you waiting for? Get going, you two! Don't worry about the others, I'll keep an eye on them while you and Kryl are away. Very good. Let's head on out to the locks then. It's been a while since we've been there. Man, we're visiting all kinds of old places today. Much has changed since the first time we set foot in this city. Now we strive to preserve their freedom rather than reclaim it. But we've no time to reminisce. We mustn't keep the commander waiting. I mean, the first time you were brought to this city, you were a prisoner, so... Commander Aldean awaits us in the Royal Palace, if you would follow me. Well, hello, Shadow Hunter.
They're here, Commander.
And I, for one, am grateful that they are. Told you've been busy since our paths last crossed at the Gimlet Dark. Not that I understand half of it. When the Scions spoke of other worlds, I'd struggle to describe what I pictured. Mayhap things would seem clearer were I to hear the tale from your own lips. But I'm afraid the situation will not afford us that luxury. I trust you two require no introduction.
We meet again, hero of Eorzea. Must we repeat this ridiculous display? I pose no threat to you, though what I come to warn you of very well might.
Had he meant to do us harm, I hazard he would have kept to the shadows, and brought more than 2 companions. We need not pretend to be the best of friends, but I hope we can put aside our differences for the present.
As you are doubtless aware, Sir Estinian and I cooperated to rid the world of Black Rose in your absence. Our journey together took us as far as the Imperial Palace, where we witnessed Emperor Varus meet his death at Xenos' hand. Being the sole witnesses to this crime, and in no position to defend our innocence, we were then forced to flee, each pursuing his own avenue of escape. When we were later reunited, Estinian claimed to have encountered an unfamiliar kind of machina during his flight, but to me his description seemed anything but, and upon further investigation I found that I was right. The Empire is developing a new Ultima Weapon.
What, that Allagan monstrosity, created to vanquish primals? With which you yourself once thought to conquer Eorzea?
The same. In my foolishness, I sought to harness its power, and became the Ascian's pawn in so doing. But you know as well as I how that tale ended. The weapon itself, excavated from beneath this very city, was destroyed ere we could fully unravel its secrets, and that should have been the end of it. But unlikely as it sounds, the Empire's efforts to recreate it have somehow borne fruit, primarily through secret research conducted by the 7th Imperial Legion, it would seem.
Wait, the 7th was all but annihilated at Cartano, along with its legatus.
Indeed, few survived, The 7th, as it is now, has little in common with the Legion led by Vandarnus, and its leadership has changed hands several times since. Precisely how this project has continued despite such turmoil, and under whose auspices, remains a mystery. What we do know, however, is that a number of prototypes have been produced, and that one of them is on its way to Eorzea. We attempted to stop it, but it was all we could do to slow its progress, so we resolved instead to bring you warning.
And right glad are we that you did, though it soundly dashed our hopes that tensions might ease at last.
As it is, we've begun to strengthen our presence in the Gimlet Dark, and are assembling a force to meet the coming threat. A force with you in its vanguard, I hope. Before you say anything, I know full well you have pressing concerns of your own. Your comrades remain in peril, and I would not ask you to forsake them. But the fact remains that you, and you alone, have faced the Ultima Weapon, and emerged victorious. We need you. And so, when the time comes, if your comrades can spare you, I bid you lend us your strength. I've assigned an officer to await your word.
The Ascian's downfall was to be the work of my remaining days. But it was my hand that kindled these flames, and I cannot allow them to spread any further. I will do what I must to see this mistake consigned to history once and for all. Even if it means begging your aid. The Fates will enjoy the irony, even as I endure the ignominy.
I too shall make for the border and offer my skills, meager though they seem in such company. Mayhap we shall meet there anon.
Though we can ill afford to ignore the coming of a new Ultima Weapon, our friend's plight grows ever more precarious, and none save you can join them in the first. I only hope you are not forced to make a choice.
Foxy naturally has some thoughts about working with Gaius. I mean, she probably still blames him for the massacre of the Scions, even though that was perpetrated by Livia, not necessarily by Gaius, though he may have given the order. As ever, the way forward is paved with difficult decisions. We can ill afford the threat of a new Ultima Weapon, but with each passing day, the plight of the Scions grows ever more perilous. If you cannot stay for a debriefing of the Ultima Weapon, I will not stop you. I only ask that you confer with me before returning to the first. That's fair. Well, let's see what we can do. Alright, I was just thinking of how I wanted to split things up as far as these videos go. I think we will go straight for Ruby Doomsday. Ah, Foxy, glad you could make it. As you may have heard, Commander Aldin has given orders to embark from Alliance headquarters to hold back the advance of the Empire's latest menace. Not that the soldiers stationed there are too chuffed about being on the front line against these new weapons. If they're designed to slay primals, they'd make short work of us mere mortals as well. Mind you, it's Gaius Balsar and his followers who've led the charge so far. By all accounts, they've been giving as good as they get. Unfortunately, their sorties have met with little success. I dare say they'd benefit greatly from your presence on the battlefield. If you're ready, my colleague over at Porta Praetoria will show you the way. To Porta Praetoria, then. Porta Praetoria. More like Porta Potty, am I right? Wow, I can just teleport over there. I can just teleport Porta Praetoria. I'll see myself out for that one. On your way to headquarters, I take it? I sure am. God, I hope my item level's high enough. I didn't even check. This looks familiar. Not quite the, oh, can't bear all this waiting around. Not quite the... Well, actually, I think it is the same damn camp as Gimlet. At least the same design. To be honest, we weren't sure if you'd ever show up. I, for one, am glad you decided to throw your lot in with us. Gaia says you are our best hope of defeating that abomination. We've seen only a glimpse of its true power, and even that was more than enough for us. So, your mind is set? Then I shall apprise you of the situation. We've discovered that the previously abandoned Ultima Weapon project is being helmed by the reformed 7th Legion. They've already succeeded in producing several prototypes, one of which is set to be deployed on the Eorzean front. Its name, the Ruby Weapon. Severa and I were able to get within striking distance during one of its test runs and made an attempt to destroy it. An attempt that ended in failure, alas. Based on our knowledge of the original Ultima Weapon, the explosives we employed should have been sufficient to blast through its armor plating, but they barely left a mark. We suspect the gifts of its predecessor may have proven the source of its resilience. As you well know, the Ultima Weapon was designed to absorb ether from icons, and the Ruby Weapon no doubt shares that ability. If it were summoned during the uprisings of Garlemald's occupied territories, and thereafter consumed, our enemy would become all the more formidable. But its near impenetrable armor was the only beginning of our troubles. It fought back with whip-like claws that could be extended and contracted at will. In the face of such opposition, we were forced to withdraw. Gaius was injured shielding me from the Ruby Weapon's assault. Even now, he struggles to stand. Damn it all, if I hadn't been so careless, this wouldn't have happened. You need not concern yourself. Let us not forget that I am the one who initiated the Ultima Weapon project. If I must give my life to bury this shameful legacy, then so be it. If you were to face it as you are now, you'd be cut down before you even hobbled within firing distance. In any case, we can't afford to lose the information in your head on both the foe we face and the Empire itself. We all know that asking for Foxy's assistance presents our best chance of stopping that war machina. It is true that if anyone were capable of putting down such a monstrosity, it would be her. Though I have no right to ask this of you, will you lend us your strength? I'm not one to back down from a fight. You have my thanks. And mine! But I must impress upon you the urgency of our situation. We've received word that the Empire is preparing to advance on the Gimlet Dark. That is where we will intercept them. Oh, it is Gimlet. It is the Gimlet camp. That's why it looks so damn familiar. If our fears are proven correct, the Ruby Weapon will be among their host. Should it break through our lines, there's no telling the devastation it will wreak. Make no mistake, the very survival of Eorzea hangs in the balance. Once you've steeled yourself for the battle ahead, your escort will lead the way. What price must the world pay for my hubris? I mean, he seems repentant. A short while earlier, in the Garlean-occupied city of Werlit's Magitech installation, commencing Ruby Weapon activation sequence. All units stand by. Initiating synthetic orosite system. Fusion successful. No signs of incompatibility. Awaiting your signal. Ruby weapon, codenamed Darkness, ready for launch. It's getting very Gundam in here. Let's go ahead and speak with our escort. Valdolin has briefed me of on our mission. I am to take you as far as our expected point of contact with the Ruby weapon. Once we arrive, the rest is up to you, I'm afraid. Cinder Drift is now accessible. And you know, before I go making any promises, let's make sure that I can actually... Oh yeah, we can do it. So let's go and break us a new weapon. Gotta tell ya, I had a hell of a time getting a cue for this. Mark 3, Anti-Icon War Machina, the Ruby Weapon. Enemy detected. Commencing attack. Alright. Let's put this big red bastard in the ground. Guess I'll main tank. Behold the Ruby Weapon. He'll be the last thing you ever see. Preparing combat data. Subject, Darkness. Anti-Icon weaponry restraints removed. Alright, everybody get on top of these. Otherwise you're dead. You're dead. Ouch. Got my big toe. Okay, we gotta split into two groups to tank that. Oof. If I hadn't been there, I think that person would have died. Okay, this one's a bit tricky, but not too bad. All you have to do is know where to go. Oh dear. Oh shit. Well, I almost got it. Come on. Ugh, such speed. But I'm still in control. Ow! Now, if you're thinking it's dying a little too quickly, you would be right. Out comes another Flexiclaw. By far the easier of the two mechanics. Oh boy. Alright, we need to take it down before that other optimized Ultima goes off. This can't be! The ruby weapon is unstoppable! I'm sorry, everyone. This is the end for me. Activating Oversoul. Increasing pilot override rate to 100%. Commencing force shutdown and system restart. Synthetic Aurosite switching to Oversoul mode. Loading data sample. Darnus combat data ready. Initiating organic core overwrite. What is this? No! Get out of my mind! Stop! No, I'm not Nail. I am... I am Nail Van Darnus. Come to purify this forsaken land. Oh. Hello, Nail Van Darnus. The legacy of ancient Alleg is mine to command. All my despair, all my rage, become my shield. I hope the other tank has that one. Come here. Oh, by the way, say hello to Dalamud. These probably shouldn't be tanked together. How can this be? Almighty Dalamud, am I not thy loyal servant? The red moon of destruction, I shall prove to thee my worth. Vengeance shall be mine! Fall, fall, death to the undeserving! Oh yes, hide. Quickly hide. Purge these unthinking beasts. Alright, much like in the Ultima fight, in Ivalice, you have to block things as they fall. And isn't this an awesome sight? Here comes Dalamud again. No, Dalamud did fall. I know it to be true. Oh boy. Down she goes. And she disappears just like a primal would. What in the world have the Garleans done? And what is an oversoul? We're about to find out, I feel. Sup, Gaius? Even from afar, your figure was unmistakable. As ever, an impressive display. Though I am sure, as I am sure you'll concur, the Ultima Weapon pales in comparison to this new monstrosity. If their research is allowed to continue, the next model will be nigh on unstoppable. With that in mind, the Alliance has enlisted the help of... Wait, I hear something. Is the pilot still alive? Oh. Here to sift through what remains of the ruby weapon, are you? Allie! What do you think you're doing? Allie? Father! It's been too long, Alphonse. And you too, Rex. Given that the Empire is proceeding with the weapon project and making inroads into Eorzea, I suppose it was only a matter of time until our paths crossed. It's wonderful to see you again, Father, although I can't say I think much of the company you've been keeping. I know a lot's happened, but I'm just glad you're all right. And now, you can come back to Garlemald with us. My days serving the Empire are over. Because you're suspected of assassinating Emperor Varys? But we know you'd never do a thing like that. There must be a way to prove your innocence. Then everything can go back to the way it was. Well, if Gaius isn't gonna talk, the Echo sure will. So he found you two shivering on the roadside when he was going through Werlet. Lucky for you, eh? If he hadn't, we'd probably be dead by now. As for us three, our parents all died in the epidemic. We'd still be begging on street corners if it weren't for him. I just wish there was a way we could repay Lord Gaius for all the kindness he's shown us. He fights for the Empire, so we should too. That'll make him proud of us. You're saying we should join the army? I don't know if that's such a good idea. Everyone in Werlet was scared of the Garleans. Why do we want to be like them? Lord Gaius is different. I know he is. You're right. He always says that the strong should lead the weak. Maybe that's why he took us in. Alright. If becoming a soldier is what it takes, I'll do it. Who's with me? Count me in, and maybe one day people will look up to us like we do Lord Gaius. Then it's settled. From now on, we're all brothers and sisters fighting for the same cause. Brothers and sisters? Then would that make Lord Gaius our father? Well, if he doesn't mind us calling him that, I suppose so. And that makes you our big brother, since you're the oldest. You'd better be nice to us, or I'm telling Father. Oh, how positively wholesome. And it shows Gaius was never truly a bad man. He had bad ideals. But as a man? Father, since you went away, a lot has changed in the Empire. For us, too. If we'd known that you were still out there, still alive, none of this would have happened. What do you mean? The truth is... If you must go, I will not stop you, but answer me this. Who was piloting the Ruby Weapon? We all know that Nail Van Darnus has not returned from the dead. Who do you think? It was... Melisandre. No. No, I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe you would let that happen. She was a sister to you, to all of you. We only wanted to finish what you started. And while we will never forget all you have done for us, the next time we meet it shall be as enemies. Goodbye, Father. As for you, hero of Eorzea, you'll pay for what you did to Melisandre. I swear it. This is war, kid. Like it or not, you guys attacked us. Oh, Gaius. I'll talk to you in a second. After Gaius and I faced the Ruby Weapon, I had thought it to be all but indestructible. I'm glad to be proven wrong on this occasion. Gaius wasn't exaggerating when he spoke of your prowess in battle. Unfortunately, it seems a fair few problems remain, and unlike the Ruby Weapon, it might take more than brute force to solve them. How you holding up, buddy? Can I call you buddy? I feel like we should be buddies. Well, that's a familiar theme. Well, well. Gaius Van Baelsar, we meet again. Come to see how your precious weapon project has been proceeding in your absence, have you? You are come to collect data on the Ruby Weapon, correct? The pilot, Melisandre, should still be inside the cockpit. I will ask Vaudelin to escort you to the wreckage. Any idea who this Melisandre is? An Imperial crony of his, perhaps? Sid's still not convinced of his new loyalties. One of the orphans. Gaius always did have an eye for talent and a mind to nurture it. In fact, Livius Asjunius was another protege of his. He even took me under his wing when my father became obsessed with the Meteor Project. It's strange that I felt closer to Gaius than my own flesh and blood. Then my father and countless others lost their lives in the Bourget incident. Although he was acting under Emperor Solus's orders, he masterminded the whole thing. I begged him to reconsider, to put an end to this madness, but my words fell on deaf ears. That's when I turned to Gaius for support, but he was as much a pawn of the Emperor as my father and refused to intervene. And when my turn came to serve, I defected and fled to Eorzea. I blamed Gaius as much as any of them, perhaps even more, for the barbaric acts carried out in the name of the conquest. But when we met at the Praetorium, all the hatred that had been festering inside me seemed to fade away, and I remembered the man I once respected. I think the dreaded Black Wolf was a mere plaything of the Ascians, who left him broken and disgraced, having sent thousands of his men to the early graves. It's more than most could bear, and now the lives of the children he raised hang in the balance. Any personal grievances I have with Gaius can wait. I'd best gather what information I can on the Ruby Weapon, but I'll be back as soon as possible. It's good to see you again after all this time, Sid. If the cockpit remained intact, we may be able to glean information from the pilot. Assuming she still lives. If Sid is as I remember him, it will not take him long to finish investigating the remains of the Ruby Weapon. He never was one to waste time. My engineers are still in the field, but there's something I thought you should know right away. It's about the pilot. I'm not sure how to tell you this, but if Melisandre is dead, I only hope she was not made to suffer. Death would have been a kindness. In all my years, I've never seen such a perversion of science and nature. Her body was fused with the Ruby Weapon's core. Those last moments must have been spent in pure agony as her very life's essence was drained from her. So she was sacrificed to power that infernal machine. We must act quickly if we are to prevent the Empire from committing further atrocities. Foxy, is there any other information you can share with us regarding the Ruby Weapon prior to its deactivation? It said something about an oversoul. Nail Van Darnus. Did the Legatus mean that much to Melisandre? From what I gather, it sounds as if data based on Nail's combat capabilities was used to override the pilot's consciousness after she was fused with the core. If this technology is perfected and the Empire begins implanting the memories of renowned warriors such as the White Raven into its soldiers, the Alliance won't stand a chance. Is such a thing even possible? That's more or less how soul crystals work, or a similar method of transference was used on the Prototype-Estinian font, was it not? This is more relevant. Your friend did mention he overheard the Signiferi loading various sets of data into the test model during the battle. It would appear that this system has been improved since then. While it may bear some similarities, we won't know for certain until we've analyzed the wreckage of the Ruby Weapon. It cannot be denied that combining combat data from an experienced soldier with the powers of an icon has yielded remarkable results. But in doing so, the Empire has sunk to the very depths of depravity. This is beyond forgiveness. For once, I agree with you, yet one question remains unanswered. How are they able to obtain data on someone who was supposedly killed prior to the calamity? That's what I'm trying to determine. There is one possibility I'd like to explore, but I'll need to carry out a more thorough investigation first. Severa will provide support while you are afield. Not only is she extremely well versed in the latest Garlean technology, there are few soldiers I would rather have watching my back. In the meantime, Valdolin and I will follow the Ruby Weapon's tracks back to its point of origin. We will learn what we can of the weapon project and the manner in which Alphonse and the others are involved. Should we uncover anything of value, we will relay it to the troops stationed here. For now, I suggest you use this Lollingarly activity to recuperate. Well, I've got some business in the first anyway. Would I be correct in guessing that this belated reunion with those darling orphans of yours has stirred up memories of your time in Garlemald? Remember our agreement, Gaius. If you so much as think of returning to your Imperial masters, I will kill you. Yeesh. And here I thought this guy was a bodyguard. He's there to keep Gaius in check, apparently. Well, let's go and speak with the officer over here. So you put down the ruby weapon. Gods, I wish I could have seen it. Not from too close, mind. I suppose I should report news of your victory to the higher-ups. I realize you must have been through quite the ordeal, but could you give me a quick summary of the battle? Well, we fought Goo Girl Nail Van Darnus. It was kinda gross. You make it sound so easy. From the way you tell it, anyone would think you slay hulking brutes like that for a living. That's 'cause I do. I'll put all of this into a report and leave a copy over there should you fancy a bit of light reading. Anyway, I expect you've got more pressing matters to take care of, like going for a celebratory pint. If the Garleans pluck up the courage to come knocking again, we'll let you know. Until then, rest up. I will do so. Meanwhile, in the Werelit Magitech installation. We should have told him the truth. He'd be able to help us. I know he would. That's exactly the problem, Allie. If he knew the true nature of the weapon project, he'd find some way to interfere. We've come too far to back down now. I won't let Melisandre's death be in vain. Even if that means going against Father's wishes. Cheer up, Alphonse. We can all go back to being one big happy family after we've dealt with those pesky Eorzeans. It'll be just like old times. If only it were that simple. There's no guarantee any of us will make it back alive. Excuse me? I think you're forgetting whose turn it is next, oh ye of little faith. With me at the helm of Sapphire Weapon, it'll be over before you know it. Whatever happens, Rex, promise you'll come back to us. I couldn't bear to lose you too. Well, that's that then. Alright, so, interestingly, the next chapter of the weapons story does not have a trial attached to it. So that means we don't need to worry about item level, and we don't need to worry about waiting for queues or anything. And this is an interesting part of the story, so we're going to go ahead and do it. And I've decided we're just going to do these weapon quests alongside the main story. And wow, your face looks very similar to Foxy's, come to think of it. Yeah. Anyway. Sleep now in Sapphire. Foxy, I'm afraid we haven't much in the way of information to share from the front line. We have, however, received word that Gaius wishes to speak with you at Alliance headquarters. I've arranged an escort to take you to headquarters, so when you're ready to depart, speak with the fellow over there. Sure. And this quest here, it just gives you the extreme version of the trials, which we don't want. Ready to head out? Yes. Good, you're here. The Ironworks have completed their analysis of the Ruby Weapon, and Sid Garland wishes to share his findings. I take it you can spare a few moments? Very good. Please wait here while I inform him of your arrival. Glad you could make it, Foxy. I'm sure you're as anxious as anyone to hear what we've uncovered. Our early hypotheses were proven correct. The Garleans have designed a system whereby a pilot's consciousness can be forcibly supplanted with data based on the memories and experiences of another. So even a rank amateur could obtain the combat capabilities of a seasoned warrior. Precisely. And we learned how this was made possible when we opened the cockpit. The monitors were still operational, and among the messages displayed, one particular phrase caught my attention: synthetic orosite system. Which is what exactly? Well, the core of the Ultima Weapon was referred to as the Heart of Sabik by the Ascians. We believe it to have been a type of orosite. I can't say much for the synthetic sword at this stage, but I've encountered real orosite before. It was extremely potent, perhaps equal in power to the Heart of Sabik. It's unclear whether the Garlean simulacrum possesses the same properties as genuine orosite, but I intend to follow this avenue of inquiry to see where it leads. And they are of course referring to the orosite from the Ivalice raids, the Zodiac Stones as they were known back in that age. What we do know is that it was used to implant the combat data of Nail Van Darnus into the pilot, who has been presumed dead since before the Calamity. Are you any closer to discovering how they were able to retrieve this data? The link didn't occur to Gaius at first, but he later told me of devices fitted to the Magitech armor of the Empire's high-ranking officers. There's reason to believe they were designed to emulate the soul crystals used throughout Eorzea. Yes, that was rumored to be its true purpose, but it was never publicly acknowledged. Perhaps those in the upper echelons of command wanted to avoid comparisons to the so-called savages they were meant to be conquering. There's also the question of whether this system even functions as intended. From what we've seen, we can assume they were successful in gathering combat data of those wearing armor equipped with the device. If the comparison with soul crystals is valid, perhaps this data was transferred via ether. However, it seems that it extracted not only memories relating to combat, but the soldier's very essence. As you saw, the pilot succumbed entirely to the will of Van Darnus. Though this is merely supposition, it's possible that being fused with the Ruby Weapon's core accelerated the process and caused the deceased legatus to manifest in corporeal form. Could it be that the death of the pilot was caused by the system malfunctioning? It's hard to say. The Ruby Weapon itself was still largely intact when it deactivated, which strongly implies that it was the synthetic orosite running amok that killed her, rather than the damage incurred during the battle. But even after our analysis, I'm afraid we still don't have enough information. For now, perhaps we could consult with Gaius as to the next part of our plan. Gaius will know how best to proceed. I still need to get to the bottom of how the synthetic orosite system works, and whether the pilot's fusion with the core was a malfunction or planned from the start. Valdolin. I've just returned from my reconnaissance, and I shall reveal my findings before taking a long overdue rest. Waldlin has come bearing vital information. I traced the ruby weapon's path back to the occupied territory of Werlit, which appears to be where it was built. Where exactly is Werlit? While Alamigo is placed on the western edge of Gimlet, Werlit lies on the opposite side to the east. It was once a proud and prosperous city until it was brought to its knees by the Imperial invaders. You seem rather well informed. Perhaps I should have taken you with me. I thought that was common knowledge. It is also where Alphonse and the others were born. And now the weapon project has brought them home. Yes, the place is now rife with Imperials. They've established an airship supply depot in the coastal town of Turncliffe. According to the locals, something resembling one of the weapons was transferred there a few days ago. This bodes ill indeed. Were it possible, I would attempt to capture Alphonse and his followers before they can launch an offensive. However, the distance between here and Turncliffe presents a considerable obstacle, and in all likelihood their weapon will be long ready before we arrive. Approaching by sea would allow us to save time by circumventing their ground-based troops, provided we were able to secure a vessel. Or you could use the Enterprise and take the most direct route of all, as the crow flies. In fact, this is the perfect chance to put my top-secret plan into action. And might I ask what that entails? It wouldn't be much of a secret if I told you, now would it? What I can say is there's a starring role planned for you, Foxy. Why so surprised? You didn't think I'd let you get off that easily, did you? It'll be here soon, so don't go anywhere. I probably should have saved this for another episode, considering, you know, this part actually came out in patch like 5.3, but it's not anachronistic or anything like that. At least it doesn't play that way. I must admit I am not fond of surprises, or secrets for that matter. Many Imperials who fought at Gimlet withdrew to Werlit, though they will have had ample time to recuperate by now. Were we to approach by land, we could expect a considerable resistance. Flight does seem the best option. I see Sid still delights in keeping others in suspense. We can only hope he does not make us wait over long. We have a solo duty to do. Several Ironworks airships. Here it is, Foxy. I present Garland Ironworks' adaptation of the Ultima Warrior, the G-Warrior. I know elegant design when I see it. Excavated from one of their ruins, no doubt. As is law, to be precise, we came across it during the course of our investigations and decided it would be a shame to let it go to waste. We fought the G-Warrior in one of those dungeons. And you will be taking this refitted relic to face the enemy head-on, yes? Perhaps my knowledge of the Ultima Weapon will be of use. I'm counting on it as it happens, but first we'll need to perform a test run in the simulator before throwing you into battle. Come, we haven't much time. Let's begin the G-Warrior training simulation. I prepared 3 trials to teach you the basics. First, I want you to try attacking the guidance system. Don't worry, it won't fight back. The G-Warrior is armed with a range of weaponry. Now's your chance to learn what it's capable of. Alright, so we do have a few weapons. We've got the Ether Cannon, the Final Flourish combo with the sword, Ultima Buster, which is a straight line attack, Ether Mine, which is a AoE attack, and Auto Restoration, which heals. So let's use the gun. The sword combo. The straight line attack, which is basically Kamehameha. And Ether Mine. It also casts vulnerability on the enemy. The sword is by far the most potent ability. But you also have energy points that you need to consider, which is what the heal does. It gives 30% of your EP. So far so good. Let's move on to something a bit more advanced, shall we? The G-Warrior also comes equipped with the Pyretic Booster, which diverts even more power to its weapons and increases its speed and maneuverability. This, however, comes at a price. Activating it places a huge strain on the G-Warrior, so it must be used in short bursts. That's why it's best to practice here before heading into battle. Now, try activating the Pyretic Booster. Pyretic Booster reduces cast time and recast time of weapon skills by 25% and increases your movement speed, but HP is drained while it's in use. You'll notice that your movement speed is much improved, but as shown on your monitor, the G-Warrior becomes more and more structurally unstable as time passes, so just hit the button again to deactivate it. Auto Restoration can mitigate a certain amount of damage incurred, but don't rely on it to carry you through the battle. And try using Pyretic Booster to destroy the target. This time the node will launch wide-reaching attacks in quick succession, but with your increased movement speed you should have no trouble evading them. Excellent work, Foxy. You'd best deactivate the Pyretic Booster while I explain the final trial. We've covered offense, now look to defense. This is where the Ethereal Aegis should come in handy. Unfortunately, you can't keep the barrier up indefinitely as it will drain the G-Warrior's power reserves. You might even run out of energy for the weapons, so watch out. First, let's try deploying the Ethereal Aegis. The monitor shows how much power is being drained. Don't let it go too low. That's enough for now. Turn off the barrier using the same button used to deploy it. For the last trial, we'll use the Ethereal Aegis while just attempting to destroy the target. Unlike before, there's no way to escape its attacks, so you'll need to weather them using the barrier. Alright. You're a natural. Alright, that's everything. Time to end the simulation. Alrighty. Incredible, but how does it compare to the weapons? Considering it's Sid, probably pretty well. I suppose that in theory, any one of us could be the pilot, but I dare say your preternatural abilities give you a certain advantage. I mean, I don't see why the Echo would not extend to seeing what a pilot of a big mecha would do. So, I think it would work pretty well. Are you sufficiently prepared? I'm ready. We shall prepare for Turncliffe at once. Let's go. You're telling me they don't have air defenses? Seems they were expecting us, but who is the pilot? Foxy, we're almost there. You better have your wits about you. G-Warrior, do the thing. No. Initiate combat mode. Now get ready to strike. Time to fry this overgrown squid, or is it too late to back out? Nah, let's be badass. G-Warrior, engage. That sounds awfully familiar. Does it? Mark 4, Anti-Icon War Machina, the Sapphire weapon. I can't afford to lose. It's all or nothing. Activating Oversoul. Hydra's combat sample ready. Initiating organic core override. No! I can't hold on! I'll be monitoring the situation from the air. Follow my instructions and eliminate the target. Let's fry this squid. There we go. Well, well, well. It seems the savages have been busy. I shall enjoy breaking their new toy. They must have absorbed an aquatic icon. Be sure to use Pyretic Booster and Ethereal Aegis. Oh, nope, wrong button. My likeness reborn in cerulean flames! Oh, look who that is. A familiar person, for sure. They did say Van Hydrus. Is that Ultima? Use the Ethereal Aegis. It's submerged for but not for long. Watch for signs of movement. Oh. So that's what that's doing. It's preparing to strike. Quickly, deploy the Aegis. Holy ow. Ah, shit. We'll keep the Aegis on for a little bit. Oh wait, I want to stand in between them. Whoops. I used the wrong damn ability. Ouch. The turrets are preparing to self-destruct. Destroy them with the Ultima Buster. I've already used it, so it's too late. There we go. Activate Pyretic Booster and keep moving. There we go, I'm in better shape than I was. Regular again. Ow! We'll keep the shield on for the next 10 seconds before I can heal again. Nope. I'm looking to do Ether Mine. Oh, that's shit. Fuck it, I'd rather just use Ultima Buster. Oh god, owie. Let's finish it. Your wild failing shall avail you not. Destroy the Cerulean servants, then focus your attacks on the Sapphire weapon. You mustn't let it launch that attack. The Cerulean servants are protecting the weapon. Ignore the turrets for now and destroy the weapon. Got it. The target has been silenced. Damn squid never stood a chance. Now that the immediate threat has been dealt with, we should gather what information we can in Turncliffe. Have a chat with everyone. I must admit, I envy your talents. Or that I possessed even a fraction of your skill, so that I could better serve Gaius. I cannot help feeling there was a simpler way to defeat the weapon. Perhaps shooting it in the head with a large cannon would have sufficed. Well, as soon as you find that cannon... This slip leads down to the storage area where the weapons were kept. Unfortunately, the Imperials didn't leave an awful lot behind for us to investigate, but they did give us a place to carry out maintenance on the G-Warrior. In fact, I can take you down there for a closer look if you're interested. After. We've got some people here we can talk to. Some former conscripts. I've been separated from my family ever since I was forced into the army, but I was able to sneak away in the confusion. I've got you and your friends to thank for that. My main concern is that Legatus Valens won't take this laying down. That man is like a dog with a bone. Once he sinks his teeth in, he never lets go. He'll be back, I'm sure of it. So we have a name for this new Legatus. Anybody around here? Doesn't look like it. Nope. How long do you think this will last? Who knows? I couldn't read the rest of it. What do you want with me, lass? Can you tell me about yourself? Me? Not much to tell, and even less worth knowing. These days I go about my daily business trying not to bother anyone. Just another sad old man, all alone and dying of... well, I doubt you'd care even if I told you. I used to call myself a doctor, not that I was much good at it. When the epidemic came 10 years ago, I was powerless to stop it despite all my years of experience in fancy medicines. For every one I saved, I lost a dozen more. Worse than that, I let those Garlean bastards push me around, tell me who to treat and who to leave to their fate. As a result, I only saw to the Imperials, while my kith and kin died in agony. What can you tell me about Turncliffe? Being far to the south of Werlet, perched atop the cliffs, there was never much reason for anyone to travel here. Being by the sea is all well and good, but we're simply too high above the water to benefit much from it. The gulls and terns don't seem to mind, though. Most of the townsfolk are either Huron natives or Aura who found their way here over the years. They all lived side by side peacefully enough before the Garleans came in and ruined everything. There wasn't much we could do to stop them. Those who fought back were soon put to the sword. Once the invasion was complete, the Imperials started digging down into the rock and built a supply depot for their blasted airships. But the experiments were a more recent development. Of course, none of us civilians were privy to what it was they were working on. I expect that'll all come to light now that the bastards have all turned and fled with their tails between their legs. I've got you and yours to thank for that, even if it is only a temporary respite. Lived a rough life, old man. Hopefully, all that roughness is over. Those Garlean bastards are finally gone, and it's all thanks to you. My husband died defending our town when they first invaded, and for all the years since, it felt like he'd died for nothing. Now his soul might at last find peace. This place is quite pretty. Most of the 7th Legion troops stationed here withdrew before you arrived. I expect they were regrouping somewhere and are getting ready to retake the town. I even heard one of the members of the Weapon Project is still hiding somewhere in the town. Anybody sneaking around over here? Somebody you can play triple triad with. A furtive former Imperial. A lot of us local conscripts have deserted the 7th Legion, but the rest of Turncliffe isn't going to forget that we served the Empire, at least not anytime soon. Well, we won't be playing triple triad with you for now. Maybe someday. You did well to pilot the G-Warrior so adeptly in so short a time. And with the weapon largely intact, Sid and his researchers should be able to gather a wealth of valuable information. Before it is dismantled, perhaps we should take one last look upon our fallen foe. We should have known Father and his friends would track us down sooner or later. Now they're at our doorstep, and the Sapphire weapon still isn't ready. Even so, it should still be able to fend them off, or at least buy us some time. Not quite how I'd imagined it, but this seems as good a way to die as any. Rex, Rickon! Why are you still here? You're supposed to be moving the other weapons to a safe location. You can take care of that, while I pilot the Sapphire weapon. What are you talking about? I'm the pilot, not you. There's no need to put your life on the line. Besides, it's still incomplete. It can barely perform basic maneuvers, so it'll be practically useless in a real fight. We have one solution. Oversoul. You want to end up like Melisandre? No, of course not. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But she didn't give her life in vain. The ruby weapon left behind data that's been used to improve the system, to prevent any further malfunctions. What difference does that make? Once Oversoul is activated and the pilot fuses with the core, there's no way back. That's why I should be the one to pilot the Sapphire weapon, not you, Rex. Alphonse needs you. You and I both know I'm the least qualified pilot we have. There's less to lose if I don't make it back. No! I won't let you! Please, Rex, hear me out. Ever since we were children, I was the smallest, the weakest, too afraid to stand up for myself. But I had the best brothers and sisters a boy could wish for. You were always there for me, protected me. Now it's my turn to protect you. Take the other weapons and get out of here. See this through to the end. Do it for me. For Melisandre. I'm counting on you, Rex. You always did have a stubborn streak. Alright, Rickon. I won't let you down. Just promise you'll wait for me, on the other side. We'll meet again, brother. You all made me happier than I had any right to be. And now, I've finally found my purpose. I have no regrets. Come on, Sapphire. We may be far from perfect, but we have a job to do. Let's give Father something to remember us by. The echo, I presume. What did it reveal to you? Rickon, my poor boy. You were braver than most could ever hope to be. It's as we feared. I'm sorry, Gaius. First Melissandia, now Rickon. We must find the remaining weapons and end this madness. This whole quest line makes me so glad that they kept Gaius as a character and didn't let him die in A Realm Reborn. Tell me, what do you make of Gaius Baelsar? I understand the two of you have been acquainted since his days as the Black Wolf. He claims to have shed his pelt when he took up his hunt for the Ascians, but he's still the same man deep down. He certainly kept quiet about having a flock of foster children back in the Empire, though. It seems he would rather bare his teeth to his former masters than allow harm to come to them. Yet try as I might, I cannot make any sense of it. Does he truly fight for the good of mankind, as he would have us all believe, or is he merely biding his time before he reveals his true colors? Whatever the answer may be, in the end he will always be a Garlean. And though there may be honorable men and women among them, I have suffered much and more as a result of their conquests. Barbaric campaigns in which Gaius Baelsar played no small part. My first encounter with the Garleans was 20 years ago, shortly after the fall of Alamigo. They continued their march into the lands that had long been home to we Duskwights. We sought to repel the invaders, but we were woefully unprepared. Our bows and arrows were no match for their magitech, and even our most powerful magics did little to slow their advance. I fought on the front line, but was knocked unconscious in the opening exchange. When I came to, I was alone, the rest of my unit slaughtered. I hurried back to my village to look for my wife and daughter, only to find the place deserted. My search lasted for days, then weeks, then months, and it seemed they had disappeared without a trace. I finally learned from two Imperials held at Bittermill that the villagers had been captured and used as test subjects for the poison gas that would later be known as Black Rose. They were never seen again. For 20 long years I roamed aimlessly with nothing but hatred to keep me alive. I eventually found myself at the order of the Twin Adder, who offered me a place among their ranks. The desire for revenge was the only thing I had left, so without a moment's hesitation I accepted. Were it not for the war with Garlemald, I would have been loath to work alongside the city-dwelling Gridanians who for so long had treated my kind as outcasts. But none of that mattered anymore. It all culminated with Operation Archon. As you led the charge into the Praetorium, we were right behind you, and when the place came crumbling down, most of us were caught in the rubble. I escaped with my life, though many others were less fortunate. Having dragged myself free from the rubble, I sought a way out. It was then that I encountered none other than Gaius Baelsar on the verge of death. The gods had delivered to me the man whose conquest had robbed me of everything. I was poised, ready to exact my revenge, and then he spoke. I will not beg for mercy. I only ask that you stay your hand a while longer. I cannot die until I have rid the world of the Ascian menace. For millennia, mankind has danced to their tune, but no more. Then, once we are finally free, my life is yours for the taking. I would have struck him down there and then, had I not sensed truth in his words, so I decided to grant him a stay of execution and join him on his hunt. All this time I've kept a close eye on Gaius. Though he is ever on the watch for pursuers, he has granted me ample opportunity to slay him if I so choose. And I still might, if he shows even the slightest sign of betraying our agreement. But for now, the Ascians are my chosen quarry. If they are indeed the ones pulling the Empire's strings, then it shall not end until they've been eradicated, every last one. Though I could not save my kin, there are those who may yet be spared the horrors of war. Unfortunately, dealing with the Ascians will have to wait until we've brought an end to Garlemald's weapon project. We may have vanquished 2 of the new weapons. We must make every effort to prepare for whatever the Garleans throw at us next. Perhaps Severa can tell us whether the Ironworks and engineers have uncovered any information of note. You know, you started this conversation asking me what I thought of Gaius, but you never really let me answer, dude. Oh well. Understandably, nothing to say. I'd rather you didn't share what we've discussed with my traveling companions. It would only complicate matters. Agreed. The Ironworks engineers are still at work dismantling the Sapphire weapon and investigating the Turncliffe Magitech facility. They have yet to make their report. They may have some news to share at this juncture. Please wait here a moment. We've yet to finish our investigation, but I can give you a preliminary report. Were you able to recover anything of note? Before abandoning the facility, they'd attempted to destroy anything they couldn't take with them, including many of their research materials. Luckily, some information relating to the Sapphire weapon's combat data was intact. Judging by what we saw during the battle, it was extracted from regular Van Hydrus, correct? It also appears that the Sapphire weapon was actually in an incomplete state, and therefore unable to perform at full capacity. Even so, it was immensely powerful. Had they been given the chance to finish it before we'd arrived, who knows how it would have ended. Indeed. We may not be so fortunate next time, so we must prepare for the worst. The Ironworks will continue to investigate the Sapphire weapon and look into possible countermeasures. The Echo afforded you a glimpse into the conversation between Rickon and Rex prior to the weapon's deployment. Do you remember any other details? Improvements were made to the synthetic orosite system to prevent malfunctions. Then it was never their intent to create a manifestation of Nail Van Darnus. But there's one thing that was intended. Oversoul. Its activation results in the pilot being absorbed by the core, killing them in the process. Rex and Rickon were fully aware of this, were they not? And the death of the pilot was by design all along. Alphonse, how could you? Sacrificing your own siblings to fuel these accursed war machines. Surely there is no cause worth paying such a price. Aye, nothing is more precious than family. This nightmare is far from over. It appears that Rex has fled with the remaining weapons, and we can assume that Alphonse has every intention of sending them into battle. We must find a way to disable them before Oversoul can be activated. I've seen enough death. I do not wish to see any more. Then there's no time to waste. Let's be about it, Gaius. Severa, you're in charge here. Keep Sid and his team safe while they carry out the investigation. Understood. Please see that no harm comes to Gaius. While we're gone, I need you to relay everything to the Resistance troops. Your first-hand account should prove useful. If there are any developments, we'll be sure to contact you. Things are worse than we feared, it seems. Alphonse, I will find you wherever you are. If the other weapons have been moved elsewhere, the locals must have seen the direction in which they were headed. At this stage, any information at all will be better than what we have now, which is next to nothing. Well, before we do anything, let's go ahead and swing down to the maintenance dock. And take a look at the G-Warrior. Ask about it. When we first discovered it at Azzy's Law, it was in a far worse state than it is now. Different color, too. As for its intended purpose, we believe it was developed to combat primals or similar threats. All of the parts deemed unnecessary have been removed, and we've made several adjustments to improve stability and overall safety. As a result, however, we had to limit its capabilities to some degree. We can't afford to repeat the mistakes made by the Garleans with Ultima Weapon, who we believe employed knowledge obtained from the Ascians. After all, we know how that ended. You might also be relieved to hear that Master Garland has introduced a pilot recognition system, so that only those given prior permission by the Ironworks can operate it. Think of it as a precaution should the enemy get any ideas about stealing it from us. How about the head? The two sensors on the front of the head work in much the same way as the eyes of living creatures, sending visual information to the pilot. This horn-like protrusion was one of several additions we made ourselves. It's for picking up link pearl signals, not for ramming the enemy. Still, if push comes to shove, I dare say it could be used to make a last-ditch attack. The arms. Compared to the original design, the outward appearance is largely the same, but we've carried out a number of improvements. The manipulators, or hands you might call them, were originally created to claw at the enemy. We've modified them to allow the use of various weapons, such as the ethereal saber. The boosters. I'm glad you noticed. The boosters were built entirely by the Ironworks to allow for low-altitude flight and increased maneuverability. They're currently unsuited to being used over long distances, hence the need to have the G-Warrior transported by airship. This is another area we're hoping to improve in future iterations. The shoulder. Done enough posing? Yes. And stand next to it. I think we're done. Let's go back to Turncliffe. And then let's return to Porta Praetoria. Welcome back. It sounds like you've been on quite the journey, all the way to Turncliffe. And judging by the fact that you've made it here in one piece, I trust everything went according to plan. That it did. What an astonishing account. I wouldn't mind putting that G-Warrior through its paces myself. Certainly a lot more stimulating than supervising this rabble, I'll imagine. Anyway, as before, I'll compile the information into a report and leave it over there for your perusal, should you ever feel so inclined. If we hear anything from headquarters, we'll be sure to pass it on. Lovely. And we got a bust of the Sapphire weapon. The chest of this Garland Ironworks scale replica of a select portion of the Sapphire weapon glows ominously, except no substitutes. This is a piece of furniture that we'll put in our apartment at some point. Meanwhile, in the 7th Legion's Werlet headquarters. I have come to deliver my report, Lord Valens. Ah, so you've returned, young Alfred, or was it Alwick? Not that it really matters, of course. I hear that you and your darling brothers and sisters have allowed the Sapphire weapon to fall into the hands of the enemy. Do tell me it isn't so. I am afraid that is the case, Lord Valens. Oh, come now, no need to be so sullen. As they say, to err is human, to forgive divine, and you know how forgiving I can be, when it suits me. So tell me, whatever your name is, who was able to best the Sapphire weapon? Our sources state that the one known as the Warrior of Light was assisted by Cid Garland and Gaius van Baelsar, my lord. Gaius. Yes, it seems he's quite the troublemaker of late, defecting from Garlemald, assassinating the Emperor. Whatever next? Oh well, there's no use crying over spilled milk. Speaking of which, I've become quite the connoisseur since arriving in Werlit. This particular variety comes from a rare breed of cow, you know. Only 100 of them in existence and pampered every day of their lives. Yes, they are quite valuable. Until their milk dries up, that is. When it does, they are sent to the slaughterhouse like all the rest, for that is their lot in life. To be discarded once they have served their purpose. Did I create the ruby and sapphire weapons so that you could deliver them gift-wrapped to the enemy? I can see it now, Cid Nan Garland rubbing his hands with glee at all the technological marvels we bestowed upon him. And you let Gaius van Baelsar, of all people, get the better of you. How do you think this reflects on me, the legatus of the 7th Legion, humiliated by that traitor? Humiliated, I say! There's only one way to deal with worthless provincial filth like you. Wait for me in the correction chamber. You need to be taught a lesson in obedience. Yes, my lord. Forgive my intrusion, Lord Valens, but it's time for your meeting with the head of Magitech Development. Oh, how time flies when you're whipping useless soldiers into shape. Yes, I'll be along once I've made myself presentable. Can't have people thinking I've let my standards slip now, can I? What are you doing here? You wish to see me, Lord Valens? Did I now? Ah, yes, that's right. So you're Ally, yes? And you joined the military of your own free will along with your fellow orphans. Such devotion! What an inspiration you are! You see, it is my firm belief that love grants us the power to move mountains, to overcome any obstacle. Together we shall discover the strength that lies within you. Take my hand, child. I will show you the way. Well, that is suitably foreboding. And Valens is not a very nice person, as you can tell. Oof, it's a bit crowded over here now, isn't it? Now, we do have the quest available for the next in the weapon quest line, but we are going to save that for another time. I want to keep things going at kind of an even pace here. I don't want to do things in large clumps like I've done in the past, because this is all current content. And as far as anything else goes, we're going to have to save it for the next episode. I feel like this one has gone on over long, but I will have more for you in the next one, where we continue the main story quest. So, I shall see you then, everyone. Take care until the next time. Bye.